Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you for being here. It has been a while since we heard from the head of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde. On Friday, September the 20th, she made a very important speech on the global economy. And I would say that the comments that she made during that speech were quite shocking, considering that they were made during her visit to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, in Washington, D.C., just 2 short days after the Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 50 basis points. Just 2 days ago, the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, said, "Everything is good, we got this. Employment is tighter now, but no concerns there." He also said unemployment is fueled by illegal immigration. Yes, you heard that right. He said that unemployment in the United States is fueled by illegal immigration, not by Americans losing jobs, he said. And I have a video, a clip of him saying those words uploaded here on my channel. And also he said that inflation rate is trending towards 2%, so he feels comfortable that perhaps we can even achieve soft landing. Well, it does appear that there is a bit more to the story, and it is important that we go over this together. I want to share the points that were shared by Christine Lagarde on September the 20th, because there's a lot to learn from that. According to the warning of the head of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, the world economy is facing pressures that are similar to the 1920s slump. Do we remember what happened in the 1920s? The Great Depression happened. There are plenty of resources online to get familiar with just what it took to survive the Great Depression. The Great Depression affected many countries. It wasn't just the United States. Between 1929 and 1932, worldwide GDP fell by nearly 15%. By comparison, worldwide GDP fell by less than 1% during the 2008 financial crisis. So it was nothing. That 2008 financial crisis was nothing compared to the Great Depression. Lagarde said that several parallels between the 2020s, the 1920s, and the 2020s stand out to her. Those are her words. But she then added that she feels confident that the central bankers today are able to address these deep structural global challenges that we're experiencing. Now, it is fair to be very skeptical of that statement, of her confidence, given how the past 4 years played out.
Inflation has just pretty much come about from nowhere.
It would be quite naive to believe that central bankers today are on the right path, to say the least. On September the 20th, Christine Lagarde warned that the global economic activity has been permanently changed by the disruptions caused by the global health crisis, the conflicts in Europe and in Middle East, as well as the worst energy shock since the 1970s. She, of course, failed to add that the energy shock was arguably the product of their own doing, but regardless, the acknowledgement of these several pervasive and quite complex issues is key to understanding where this is likely going to lead us. The second important point that was made by the head of the ECB was a remark about global fragmentation. And she said that global fragmentation, quote, "it put an end to the open, liberal economic order." What does this mean? It means that as geopolitical tensions rise, as geopolitical realities change, governments align economic policies accordingly, and they shift export-imports to their allies versus continuing to maintain ties with a variety of states purely based on financial benefit. This is precisely why the EU and the United States, to an extent, are trying to decouple from China, which of course is an extremely difficult, if not impossible, task. Fragmentation causes a disconnect. It results from protectionist measures to an extent, such as economic sanctions and trade barriers. Emerging markets are the ones that suffer the most because of limited capital flows, including limited direct investments into their economies. And this is precisely where the BRICS Plus bloc is able to make a significant impact. As developing economies, as developing countries align more and more, which we certainly see the BRICS Plus members do, they're able to help their not so stable economies weather this transformational change. The second shift to the global economic order mentioned by Lagarde was technological process. And this is where it gets really interesting in my opinion. She says it triggered a series of changes in the economy and financial markets that created new challenges for central banks. Lagarde then quickly concludes central banks needed a new concept of stability. What might this new concept of stability be? Well, she refers to monetary policy. What does monetary policy do? Monetary policy influences two things. It influences the amount of money in circulation, or money supply in other words, and it also impacts the cost of borrowing, which in turn affects economic growth. So Lagarde indirectly brought up digital euro, a European CBDC, which in my opinion, and given her prior record, her previous very, very strong support for CBDCs, and I showed you that video where she promotes CBDCs, I believe that this is what she's alluding to when she speaks about policy transmission.
The digital euro is on the move. Yesterday, the Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator. All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future.
Digitalization could make the financial sector, she says, more able to adjust financing conditions to economic conditions. The part of the speech that I found quite concerning, or I should say the most concerning part of the speech, is where Lagarde quite frankly says we must be ready for change, and she also mentions inflation volatility. This leads me to believe that the politically motivated rate cuts are expected to cause a spike in inflation. It is not difficult to know that this is what's going to happen. And in addition to that, Lagarde's statement indicates that if the worst-case scenario does transpire, she purposefully compared 1920s with the present-day risks to economic stability. So if the worst-case scenario does happen, there are certain things that will be swiftly rolled out, such as a CBDC, for instance. That is a possibility. And of course, it will provide solutions. Remember, problem, reaction, solution. Here's Christine Lagarde speaking about this. Take a look.
I just want to clarify that my main message today is that we must be ready for change and prepared to use the flexibility of our frameworks as necessary. And to ensure future stability, our approach must continue to embody stability without rigidity. The goals of monetary policy are not going to be changed. But those transformations are going to have a serious impact on monetary policy transmission.
In conclusion, the head of the ECB once again clearly indicated that the changes are coming and we need to be prepared for them. The economic risks today are going to push these changes through, she said. The goals of monetary policy do not change, but that does not imply that the way in which we conduct monetary policy will remain the same. We will draw on our best analysis, experience, and knowledge so that when change comes, we will be ready. I don't know about you, but to me that sounds awfully ominous. A global depression, as she referred to the 1920s, is part of the speech. She then alluded to transformational changes and the new way of transmitting, or in other words, delivering policies. Very interesting speech indeed. I think there's a lot to unpack here. Hopefully you found this video interesting. Let me know what your take is on Christine Lagarde's statement, on her message. I would love to hear from you as always. Thank you for watching the video. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Make sure that you give my channel on Rumble a follow, as well as join me on my social media platforms that are linked in the description below. and I will see you in my new one tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.